All right, so I found something cool through one of my subscribers, actually, who sent me a video that I should watch. And that was Garrett621, so thank you for that, because I went and watched that video. It was by, I want to say, it was like Caleb or something like that, and it was like a super simple. Anyway, I don't remember, but I can probably find it. Anyways, he had a really good video, and it brought to my attention because of these, these clips of the Geneva Bible that he brought up. So I have one on the screen here, and it shows you what it shows in the, you want to call these annotations or whatever from the Geneva Bible. So if I could zoom in, which I don't know how to do. I should be able to, right here, maybe. Ooh. Okay, so I wanted to say who it was and give him credit first before I go too far in this, so that y'all can go watch his video, because it was actually really good, and he has a lot of recommendations for people as they continue to share the truth about the little season. So let me just search my watch history for Caleb, because I feel like that's what it was called. No. Okay. Then I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. But this is going to probably bother me, and I think I have one more free screen time recording like that I'm doing on my laptop here, so I don't want to cancel it. So you're just going to maybe just have to bear with me as I go through all of this. Yeah, so I wanted to give him credit. Let me just see, it's in here somewhere. I mean, I know I can find it, it'll just take me a second. I really thought it was Caleb. Cabel. That's what it was. Okay, so he has this video little season database from the lens of a viewer. So it is Cabel. So his video is really good. So he pointed out, that a lot of little seasonists are real King James Version only advocates, to our detriment, because the Geneva Bible, which is what I have pulled up right here, shows that we have historical evidence and biblical notes in an old Bible that prove the millennial reign already happened. So let me read this, because it's kind of funky to read. Sorry for my sniffles. It just started as soon as I started recording. It's kind of annoying. So it says, we're over here in Revelation 20, and down here in the little notes, it says, for verse 3, where it's talking about, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and he shut him up and sealed the door upon him, that he should deceive the people no more till the 1,000 years were fulfilled. For after that he must be loosed for a little season. So it has the little C and the D there. So if we go down to the C, it says, that is, from Christ's nativity unto the time of Pope Sylvester II. So long the pure doctrine should after a fort remain. I don't know. The important part is that it tells us the range of time in history where the millennial kingdom occurred past tense. So we can easily know the dates of those things if we just search it up. Christ's nativity, well, what? Probably 33 AD. I mean, 0 AD, because he died in 33 AD. So you could maybe, they're saying it started when he was born. So, sure. I mean, that's like a difference of 33 years. But either way, it says that it happened. So, if you start it from his birth, it would end, it says here that it ended at the time of Pope Sylvester II, when he came on the scene, basically. So, you want to know a little about Pope Sylvester II? Well, I did, so I looked him up. And supposedly, I mean, I was reading about him, and then at the bottom, you know, when you're on Wikipedia, it has like suggestions on other Wikipedias to look into, and it had a deal with the devil as one of the articles, and I was like, how's that related? Let me go look. And apparently Pope Sylvester II made a deal with the devil, and that's just significant, because if Satan was released right around that time, he went and tried to influence this pope, which could tell you that he was taking over the church, which was, you know, probably the Catholic Church of today, which has been highly compromised. There's other words that I'm trying to think of that would explain better what I'm trying to say. Perverted, definitely. Because there's like remnants of the original church in it, but it's not like what it was. So it's no longer like a good church to be in, but it had some truths, is kind of the way I feel based on what I've gathered with my research and everything. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that he was known to be one of the ones who sold his soul to the devil. We have, of course, we know we have modern day examples of this, and all of the historical examples of people selling their soul to the devil basically started with Pope Sylvester II, which would be when the little season started. So I thought that was kind of significant as well. And then there's many other people here, but I guess Sylvester II had learned sorcery using a book of spells stolen from an Arab philosopher. He'd had a pact with a female demon called Meridiana. Oh, I probably shouldn't even say that. I rebuke that in Jesus' name, because I do not call any of those evil entities into my realm. In Jesus' name, I rebuke them. I should not have said that out loud. Anyways, who appeared after he had been rejected by his earthly love, and with whose help he managed to ascend to the papal throne. Another legend tells that he won the papacy by playing dice with the devil. So it doesn't sound like he was a very godly pope, and he was probably the first of many ungodly popes, because anybody who lands in that position these days does not give me good vibes. I think probably most of y'all would agree that a lot of the Catholic Church stuff is a little off-putting, and there's evidence that they're not doing godly stuff, because, you know, the popes and the whatever you want to call them, their clergy are involved in some pretty disgusting allegations. There's too many allegations for them to all be false. So these were some of the other people over time who have made deals with the devil. I looked at all of them just because I was curious. Some of these are pretty disturbing, like this guy. Didn't want to even look into some of these, but that's kind of interesting. I don't know. Let's see. The term a deal with the devil or Faustian bargain is also used metaphorically to condemn a person or persons perceived as having cooperated with an evil person or organization. An example of this is the Nazi-Jewish negotiations during the Holocaust, both positively and negatively. Under Jewish law, the principle of saving life. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's relevant, but that was that. I just thought I'd show you that Pope Sylvester II made a deal with the devil. So the devil was out prowling for people to help him with his mission. That's basically what you can take from that. Now I have another little image here from, so that previous one was the 1560 Geneva Bible, like the original with the words on the side. Like, I bought a Geneva Bible and none of that stuff's there, and I was so disappointed. Like, the Bible's still cool and all, but it does not have those notes, which is what I was trying to get. So luckily, when I watched Cabel's video, I was able to see that there is stuff in the notes that's very significant. And this is one of those things, because it shows that this millennial reign is in our past, and we have the dates, the beginning and the end dates of it. And it also says, after this term, Satan had greater power than he had before. And for a second I was like, oh, that was past tense. Does that mean his little season's already passed? But I don't think so necessarily, because the actual text is written in past tense. Like, loosed, he must be loosed for a little season. So this is all because it was like a vision of things in the future, and it was like a vision he had. So he's talking about, this is what was in the vision. He was loosed, he had to be loosed, and it's all past tense. And also, it doesn't give, like, dates. It doesn't say, like, he was released, and then it ended, and then New Earth was, you know. It does give those dates, basically, by giving you historical figures with the millennial reign. So that is significant to me. So that means, for sure, if we had any doubts, which I didn't really, but it's nice to see historical, documented, in a Bible, no less, that this part of the prophecy has already occurred. So I thought that was significant. Because if we were in the new heaven and the earth, then, I mean, I don't know that it matters to know that. But it does kind of matter to know that we're in the little season, because we might be deceived. So God has shown us, you know, the truth about where we are in this timeline. And for whatever reason, he wants us to know. So maybe so we won't be part of the coming deception, going up against the camp of the saints, Gog Magog, the battle of Gog Magog. I don't really know why he revealed it to us, other than just like we wanted the truth. Because I know that's why I did all the research I did to get to where I am currently in my knowledge, where I believe that I'm probably correct in most of these things. Do I know for sure? Of course not. I could learn something tomorrow where I'm like, throw that out. That was wrong. And I'm willing to be wrong. I was wrong before. We have to still be willing to be wrong, because we could always learn something new. So I just thought I would share that. Let me see if there was anything else. So this is the 1599 Geneva Bible. So the notes, you can see down here, these are the notes. They're a little different. So I don't know why that is, but they're similar. So the 1561 puts it a little bit further back. This 1599 one is a little bit more into the future, but not off by like too terribly much. And I don't know why they're off, but they are. So just thought I would make sure that I share that. It says here for Revelation 20, verse 2, the first whereof, continuing, this history with the end of chapter 12, is the 36th year from the Passion of Christ, when the church of the Jews being overthrown, Satan essayed to invade the Christian church, gathered of the Gentiles, and to destroy part of her seed. The 1000th year falleth precisely upon the times of that wicked Hildebrand, who was called Gregory the VII, the most damnable necromancer and sorcerer, whom Satan used as an instrument when he was loosed out of his bonds, thenceforth to annoy the saints of God with most cruel persecutions, and the whole world with dissensions and most bloody wars, as Benno the cardinal reporteth at large. This is the first victory gotten over the dragon in the earth. So we have basically them telling us when the 1000th year of the millennial reign corroborates with our history. So we can tie that with an actual historical figure and kind of know when it ended and when probably Satan's little season began. Because it may not have happened immediately, but it sounds like it's pretty immediate. And if it's not immediate, then there could have been a small delay, but pretty much like that's the next thing in the events. Millennial reign ends, Satan is released, right? Could there be like 10 years between? I guess. I don't see why there would be, but I guess it's possible. So it just says Gregory the VII is a damnable necromancer and sorcerer, and Satan's using him as an instrument after he was loosed out of bonds. So, either way, we know the millennial reign happened. Jesus has already returned, like he said he would, in their generation, before some of them died. If that wasn't enough for you, here's some written evidence in a Bible in the notations. That's pretty damning evidence, if you ask me. I mean, this is what I've been looking for. And another thing, when I was looking into Sylvester II, I just was like, I knew I read something, let me just try to find it with a raw Google search. So I said Pope Sylvester II sold soul, and like the little AI generated summary at the top, I was reading these points, and this third one I thought was funny because it says he mistakenly performed mass in a church called the Holy Cross, Santa Croce, in Rome, which he believed was Jerusalem, but was not. Okay, so the Pope of the church, Catholic Church, in around 1000 AD, did not know where Jerusalem even was. And we think we know today. Interesting. I would go ahead and guess that we don't know. Because if he didn't know, and he was this close to, historically, he was closer, right? Over time, we're going to even be less certain of where things were. Because, you know, the victors write the history books, and we're also in the little season. So do you think Satan might lie about where biblical lands truly are, so that not only the biblical people don't know, you know, who they are or where their roots are, but that way he can make it look like the Mount of Olives has not been split in two, because if we're in the little season, it should be split in two. But if Israel's not the Israel that they say it is, because of course it's not, that's a false setup by the Rothschilds, like in the 40s. Like, it's just a new thing that they just decided, let's just make a land for the Jews, you know, and bring them all back. And the Christians just go along with it because they're like, yeah, let's like support the Jews because they're God's holy people and stuff, which is another lie, because they're not the ones from the Bible who say they are, you know. They say they are, but aren't, but do lie, but are of the synagogue of Satan, right? So, not the right Jews. So I just thought that was interesting. So he believed a place was Jerusalem, but it wasn't. And then I have one more slide here, and I got this from Facebook because I was looking into the Mount of Olives. And Lindsay Ball, which she's awesome. She always has some nice quips to things people say. somebody was concerned about the Mount of Olives as well, and she gave some little memes or images here. So, a land for the Jews. This is an old historical image from a document back when they were discussing where to designate Jerusalem. So, I just think it's kind of interesting, because that means they ended up picking this spot here, as we know. But it's probably not even the correct biblical land. And there's lots of evidence that it could be America, it could be, America here, it could be Europe, it could have been down here somewhere in Ethiopia, it could be China, who knows? It could be the North Pole. We just don't know. I like to research it and hear what people have to say and try to hash it all out and figure it out for myself. But one thing I will say is I'm probably partial to America because I live here, but something tells me it's America. Mainly because they poison us so much, and they're always after us in some form. And they just attack America, okay? So if that's, not revealing enough for me, it's not enough, but it is enough to make me question, is there something special about America? And then what's up with this Bible Belt? Like, it just appears out of nowhere. It's just where all the Christians wanted to land. They just all went there in mass, and we all just decided to live in the Bible Belt. So, I was born in the Bible Belt. I moved out of it shortly and moved back because I feel drawn to this area. It's a very special, beautiful area. A land of milk and honey, you could say. So, could it be the land of milk and honey? The promised land? The lands God promised to the Israelites that he took them to? We don't really know. We don't know. I would love answers, but I think that's one of the things we're not privy to in this little season, because it's part of the deception. We don't get to know where we are. We're lied to about that. We don't get to know who we are. We're lied to about that. We don't get to know when we are. That's for dang sure. We don't get to know why either, because most people have bought the science lie, so we think we're just a little tiny dot in an endless universe. You're meaningless, right? You're just a speck in a giant universe. Where's God? It is hard to imagine where God is in that model. So, trying to convince people a little season when they have still continued to buy the globe lie. I don't know if it's possible. I really don't. It's kind of like a person has to be led sequentially into certain truths. And I don't know if they're going to get little season unless they've had the spell broken about the shape of this realm. Because once you believe the Bible for its words, like it's literal, it's the truth, we can trust it over anything science gives, then you're more prone to believe words like some of you standing here will not taste death before I return with my kingdom. So it takes kind of like getting to that point where you're like, I believe the Bible over anything the world says. So yeah, that's it. Sorry for the disorganization and the pauses. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I thought that's really good evidence for the fact that we're past the millennial reign, for sure. And yeah, if you have anything to add, or if I was wrong about anything, feel free to leave a comment.